Tonight on CFTK-TV News, fallout from the Lapu-Lapu tragedy, a breakdown of Canada's economy, and critics weigh in on the future of the NDP.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday, May 1st, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. We begin tonight with our news local to the Northwest. The future of the NDP has come in question after what could be described as less than ideal election results. CFTK-TV's Cale Maslin looks into what might be coming next for the party.
The recent federal election was a rough one for the New Democratic Party, as party leader Jagmeet Singh stepped down after losing his riding, and the party lost its official status in the House of Commons. Even their hold on the Skeena-Bulkley Valley riding that they had maintained since 2004 wasn't safe, as now former MP Taylor Bachrach was defeated by Ellis Ross of the Conservative Party. But despite Ross's victory, Bachrach doesn't have any regrets over how things played out for his re-election bid, and reflected on what his party was able to do during his tenure as MP.
I'm really proud of the way that we ran the campaign. You know, I always wanted to practice politics with respect, and respect for everyone, no matter what their perspective is. And yeah, I'm really proud of how we showed up and tried to do right by people. You know, I think some of what we accomplished as a caucus with only 25 members is going to stand the test of time, and it's really going to be a legacy for future generations of Canadians, especially dental care and pharmacare, new labor laws that protect the rights of workers. Those are things that are going to last, I think, for generations. So yeah, lots to feel good about.
Former Stikine MLA and NDP member Nathan Cullen also gave his thoughts on what the NDP might try to end up accomplishing in the future, despite their now more limited presence in Parliament.
I think that just based on this past Parliament, where the NDP used the seats they had at the time to negotiate public dental care for 9 million Canadians, which is really great. If you don't have dental care, you can go to the dentist now. It's not a small thing. And are in the midst of signing agreements on pharmacare. So people who need diabetes medicine are now not paying as much as $1,000 a month out of pocket to stay alive. Those kinds of things were a result of trying to make Parliament work, get things done. The party wasn't rewarded for it politically, but I think there is still a mood within New Democrats, even with these tough results, to continue to try to make the place work for Canadians. And when I was in Parliament, that was something I heard all the time. Like, we watch the news, you guys are yelling at each other all the time. Is there any chance where people could start to work together?
Even with the election results not going their way, the NDP seats could potentially still hold some sway, as the Liberals came up just short of a majority government. But until their next major course of action is determined, what the future holds for the NDP is very unclear. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
This past weekend, the Skeena Wild Conservation Trust, the Terrace Beautification Society, the City of Terrace, and a few others teamed up to put on their annual Garbathon event, which sees volunteers get tools provided by the organizers. Then they go out and pick up whatever garbage they can find. This year, over 200 people of all ages came out to help clean Terrace's parks, streets, and riverbanks, with the organizers even saying they kept getting word that other people spontaneously joined in to help. Some people even brought their own heavy machinery so that they could deal with large items like abandoned cars. The event organizers then went on to thank everyone who participated in the pickup. Coming up next, fallout from the Lapu-Lapu tragedy. Welcome back. BC has declared a provincial day of remembrance and mourning to be held on Friday for the victims of the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival attack in Vancouver. A statement from Premier David Eby's office says it will be an opportunity for people to come together, grieve the loss of innocent lives, and recognize the contributions the victims made to their communities and the province. It says the Day of Remembrance is also a time to offer comfort to people who have lost loved ones and who are recovering, along with those who witnessed the horrific attack that killed 11 people and injured many more. The tragedy has highlighted the desperate need for improved mental health supports in BC, and politicians are now pushing for change. Here's CTV's Rob Buffum.
In the fallout of grief and anger from the Lapu-Lapu tragedy, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim demanded action from the province on the mental health crisis.
I'm sorry, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I'm just speaking from the heart. Not as mayor, but as a resident of Vancouver, as a citizen, as a father, as a family member, as a neighbor, as a friend. How many more reports do we have to do to come up for a reason why their family is absolutely devastated? We need action.
Mere hours later, Premier Eby announced changes were coming to the Mental Health Act.
We'll be initiating a review and modernization of the Mental Health Act in British Columbia.
Eby says the measure had been delayed due to an upcoming court challenge to the constitutionality of the involuntary care parts of the Act, but admits the government can't hold off now.
I think where British Columbians are at and what we're hearing from British Columbians is that we need to accelerate that work, and that's what we're going to do.
The mounting pressure after the horrific events of Saturday. 11 people killed and dozens other injured after being struck by a car. Accused killer Kaiji Adam Lowe, who faces 8 murder charges, was in involuntary care with mental health issues, but on leave in the community.
The mental health crisis is not just a health crisis. It has become a public safety crisis.
Eby has pledged a public inquiry if a criminal trial doesn't provide sufficient answers. The opposition cites a series of high-profile attacks involving suspects with mental issues that they say should have justified action and an inquiry long ago.
If this incident in Vancouver does not get action by this premier, I don't know what would. And in fact, it will be a complete failure of leadership.
Meanwhile, the issue again dominated question period Wednesday.
This man should be tried, should be prosecuted, should be sentenced for the rest of his life.
Robert Buffum, CTV News.
The economy has been a top concern of late. CTV's Heather Wright has experts break down Canada's current economic status.
Canada's economy shrank in February, with more economic headwinds in the future, according to Deloitte, which predicts a recession later this year.
All in all, conditions are pretty soggy at the moment. I think we need some clarity on what our relationship with the U.S. is actually going to be.
According to Statistics Canada, gross domestic product decreased by 0.2% in February, with 12 of the country's 20 industrial sectors posting declines. Experts say supply chain disruptions from the severe February storm in eastern Canada also contributed to the slowdown. And while these soft numbers are not directly tied to Donald Trump's trade war, which didn't begin in earnest until March, manufacturing did see an increase in February, which could be due to efforts by companies to get products shipped before tariffs went into effect.
You're seeing an increase in economic activity due to the fact that people are trying to get their orders in advance.
In the United States, markets opened sharply lower this morning on news the world's largest economy shrank in the first quarter. And the impact of a sluggish American economy is expected to trickle north, compounding challenges to Canada's economic growth that existed before the trade war began.
The Canadian economy is not growing in any meaningful, substantial, sustainable way. That's something that this new government has to address very quickly, and it goes beyond just tariffs.
Economists are predicting a slight bump to the GDP numbers from March, but will be watching the second and third quarters closely, as that's when they expect to see the impact of tariffs come through. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning to the weather, the sun rose at 5:53 a.m. this morning and sets at 9:09 p.m. tonight. Tonight on the North Coast, expect rain about 10 to 15 millimeters, winds from the southeast at 20 kilometers an hour, gusting to 40, temperature steady near 10 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect more rain tomorrow, and then the sun should come out on Saturday before the rain comes back. Daily highs in the 9 to 11 degree range, overnight lows in the 5 to 7 degree range. Tonight, in the Terrace-Kitimat area, conditions are looking mainly cloudy, with winds from the south coming at 20 kilometers an hour, becoming lighter this evening, and a low of 9 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, it's looking mainly cloudy tomorrow, then expect a mix of sun and clouds on the weekend before the rain comes back Monday. Daily highs in the 11 to 13 degree range, overnight lows in the 4 to 5 degree range. In the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, tonight conditions are clear with a low of 0 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect some clouds and wind tomorrow, then a mix of sun and clouds Saturday. Daily highs in the 12 to 14 degree range, overnight lows in the 0 to 4 degree range. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's bridge maintenance and repairs. Watch for utility work, industrial traffic, pothole repair, and road sweeping. On Highway 37, there's road sweeping and industrial traffic, as well as frost heaves. On Highway 37A, there's industrial traffic that may slow or block the road, as well as falling rocks. On Telegraph Creek Road, there are muddy sections, and the rest area is closed at Burnt Trailer Tanzilla access. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. A brutal storm has rocked parts of Quebec and Ontario with severe consequences. Here's CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin with the story.
Driving rain and sudden gusts ripped through the Montreal area at nightfall. Winds snapped a tree that fell on a 15-year-old boy. This as he headed to basketball practice. It crushed his chest and pinned him. Firefighters pulled him out in critical condition. His distraught father came to see the scene today. He says this was incredible bad luck that came just a few months after the boy's mother, his wife, died of cancer. His son is undergoing a series of surgeries now. A few kilometers away, winds taking down electricity lines sparked chaos at Maisonneuve-Rosemont Hospital. A power outage plunged part of the hospital into darkness, blew out windows, and left some healthcare workers trapped in elevators.
One of the generators didn't function, so we couldn't have backup for our respirators, the electricity, and all the apparatus that we need for electrocoagulation for bleeding.
Angry doctors and nurses held a protest. They've long been demanding a major overhaul to the aging hospital. In Ontario, too, the storm is linked to power outages, injuries, and damage. As extremely high winds whipped through the region, Hamilton Mayor Andrea Horvath fell on stairs outside City Hall. She had to undergo surgery for a broken wrist. Her elbow and leg are also injured. In Guelph, gusts of more than 90 kilometers an hour snapped and uprooted trees that came down on homes and cars.
As I was cooking dinner, and I said, look at the storm outside, and as I moved away to go back to my dinner, she goes, the tree fell on my car.
The cleanup is now underway, and crews are returning power to tens of thousands of homes and businesses. The very intense part of the storm lasted under 5 minutes in many of these regions, but that was enough to create all that damage. Genevieve Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
New efforts are being made to diversify children's education and encourage career exploration. Here's CTV's Kevin Green.
These girls are exploring physics and astronomy, two career choices often overlooked by young women. U of C professor Laura Mazzino beat those odds and now wants other youngsters to have the same chance.
I experienced food and shelter insecurity for half of my life. And for me, studying physics and astronomy in North America and being able to visit NASA was a long shot. So I had a lot of mentors and people that helped me out, and I want to pay it forward.
The odds are still weighted against young women becoming physicists. These grade 6 girls enrolled in the university's Fast Choices program are learning there's a place for them in the sciences.
All of my friends are really good at ELA, and social studies, and I'm personally better at math and science.
I'm really interested in like stars. I just think of how big our Earth is and how big other places are.
University students mentoring them say keeping that passion alive is their goal.
At that young age, we want to tell them that they can get equal opportunities in this field. Even just getting to see role models that look like me, fellow women in the field who have made it and have that experience and have become successful.
The shortage of women in science careers is matched by a dearth of men in education. That's why the U of C expanded the program, offering edu choices for grade 6 boys.
I think like science and sports is cool and stuff, but I also think it's really neat that we can learn about our education and stuff and how to become a teacher.
Both boys and girls also explore Indigenous teachings, examining the intersection of traditional wisdom and Western science.
And if there's something that they can find the beauty in my people, maybe it'll create acceptance. Maybe it'll create something in their lives that help them be more accepting of Indigenous populations in our province.
Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
Still to come, a teammate testifies in the junior hockey sex assault trial. A former teammate testified today at the sexual assault trial for 5 members of Canada's 2018 gold medal winning World Junior Hockey team. CTV's Adrian Gabriel is in London, Ontario, covering the high-profile trial.
As each of the accused arrived in person to London's Ontario Superior Court, the first of their former teammates prepared to testify virtually.
This thing spins and turns as Radish hammers this.
Current Washington Capital Taylor Radish has not been charged, but he was on Canada's 2018 gold medal winning junior hockey team. His hotel room was next door to room 209, where the alleged group sexual assault took place. During his testimony today, Radish told the courts he joined some of his teammates at Jack's in London on the evening of June 18, 2018. Radish told the court he doesn't have any recollection of that night, including what time he returned to his hotel room at London's Delta Armories. Following the evening on the town, he told the court that one of the accused, Michael McLeod, knocked on his door and told him to come hang out in his room. Radish says when he went in, there was a woman there. When asked by the Crown if she was dressed or not, Radish replied, "Sitting here, I'm not 100% sure."
We're talking an event that happened in 2018. It's now 2025. Certainly there's been a lot of other Saturdays in his life.
Could the lack of memory be a reoccurring theme in this trial?
I think that's a pattern that we're going to see.
A jury of 9 women and 5 men were also shown video today from inside Jack's bar, where the alleged victim, who we can only refer to as EM, can be seen on the dance floor with McLeod. Other players are also seen dancing with or near EM at different times. Around 1:30 in the morning, McLeod and EM left together and had consensual sex when they arrived at his hotel room, though the jury has been shown a group text message from McLeod inviting teammates to room 209. Former World Junior Team captain Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, Carter Hart, McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been charged with sexual assault. McLeod is also facing one charge of being party to the offense.
The courts had to pause Taylor Radish's testimony this afternoon to allow him time to prepare for his playoff game against the Montreal Canadiens. He'll reappear tomorrow morning. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, London, Ontario.
Now to the States, where there are questions for President Donald Trump about the fate of a man who was wrongfully deported. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
This morning, new fallout over the fate of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man wrongfully deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador because of an administrative error. Sources tell ABC News Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in touch with El Salvador's president about Abrego Garcia. Our Karen Travers asking if a request has been made to facilitate his return, as the Supreme Court ordered.
Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge.
For weeks, administration officials have argued it's up to El Salvador's president to return Abrego Garcia.
President Bukele said he was not sending him back
That's the end of the story.
Now, in an interview with our Terry Moran, the president suggests he could get Abreu Garcia back if he wanted to.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law.
Rachel Scott, ABC News, Washington.
Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index ended lower after a choppy trading day, while U.S. markets jumped on positive earnings from big tech. The Canadian dollar dropped 1/10 cent. The price of gold fell $96.90. Oil rose $1.03. Natural gas rose by 15 cents. Aluminum dropped $66. In Toronto, the TSX dropped 46 points. The Venture Index fell 7 points. In New York, the Nasdaq gained 264 points, and the Dow Jones rose by 45. Still ahead, a sweet perspective on cherry blossom season. The BC Lottery Corporation says a Prince George resident is the winner of a $5 million Lotto 649 jackpot earlier this month. It says that Daryl Woods won the April 23rd draw after buying the winning ticket at a convenience store. The Lottery Corporation says players in BC have won more than $16 million collectively from Lotto 649 so far this year. And we leave you tonight with a sweet perspective on cherry blossoms. Here's CTV's Adam Sawatsky.
In the middle of the street, Wayne Oliver is waiting for the wind.
You have to be quick, so I mostly miss.
Although it's hard to miss that the road is blanketed with blossoms, that the sidewalks are populated with petals, Wayne is anticipating more action.
When these blossoms come out, it's like a cue for a big wind to come up and blow them all over the place and have fun with them.
And while he appreciates all this every spring, this is the first time Wayne's trying to capture the petals being playful.
And remembering where the record button is on your camera, that's the biggest challenge. By the time you get it all up ready, whoops, gone.
But rather than be worried,
the backlit leaves look heavenly.
Wayne's waiting in wonder.
Everyone experiences stress, but it's an art form and how we deal with it.
And after experiencing more than his fair share of stress, Wayne is learning to practice that art daily.
This is part of how I do it, opening your eyes and being present.
In the present, there's no past to regret, no future to fret, and in this particular present, pink possibilities are percolating.
And here we are with this little gust of wind again.
A little gust that encourages a couple petals to play, before Wayne captures the wind blowing even bigger, enticing petals to leap from the trees and join their friends in transforming the street into a stage for dancing with wild abandon.
This brings out an element of play. That's really the thing. Just play.
After the flowers frolic, the branches seem to clap their leaves in applause, the sun beams with appreciation, and Wayne feels grateful that he took the time to capture it all.
You look at the news and you see this and that. While all these things go on in the world, I keep on just having fun with the petals, and that sounds simple, but it brings peace.
And you find your day has blossomed into something more magical than you would have imagined. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
That's our news for now. Thanks for watching.